Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'll be reviewing The Courier. So The Courier is a historical drama film that is directed by Dominic Cooke, stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Rachel Brosnahan, and Jessie Buckley. It tells the story of this British businessman who's brought into this espionage mission that is going on between Russia, United States, and England during the Cold War. So Greville Wynn, who's played by Benedict Cumberbatch, is brought into this whole mission because he is someone who can slip in and out of the USSR without being detected. He just seems like a normal businessman. He doesn't seem like somebody who would be a spy, and he's slowly getting information from a high senior official in the USSR and bringing it back to MI6 and the CIA to kind of stop the world from going into nuclear war. The movie does dive into some really interesting historical events because it is based on a true story, and these are some unsung heroes of the Cold War. I really enjoyed it. It's a part of history that I've always found very fascinating, and it's something that I feel like a lot of people don't know about because of the espionage and the kind of shadow works that happened during this time, that maybe people don't know how close the world was to the brink of destruction, and maybe these people did, in a way, kind of save the world. Now, I can't speak to the historical accuracies of this film because, there's always a lot of liberties you have to take when you make a film because you have to make it interesting. You have to kind of go off of some secondhand accounts and some things. You don't always have firsthand data, but I do think it does a really good service to the time period as far as production design, wardrobe, just a lot of the events and the timeline that's happening. I think it works really well. It's very immersive, and this movie does ratchet up the tension to a huge degree. You have to say, when you watch anything that deals with international espionage or the Cold War, that's something that really helps a movie or a show move along, is that constant threat of either the world ending or being found out and being killed or being thrown in jail or thrown into a gulag. And it works really well in this film, and because it is a real historical event, I think it works even better. Benedict Cumberbatch is excellent in this movie. I think it's his best performance since The Imitation Game, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. He plays a character that goes through so much and transforms both emotionally and physically. This was a really impressive performance for him because he has a physical transformation. I'm not going to dive too much into the spoilers of the film. I know it is a historical event, so you could just look it up anyway, but I do think it's something that's really worth checking out. It's a movie that I don't think is getting a lot of press, and it's coming out tomorrow. It comes out this weekend, and no one's really talking about it, but I think it's a really excellent film. Playing Greville Wynn, who's almost kind of this fuddy-duddy old businessman, and having him transform into like a real spy, like someone who's really standing up for what he believes in and doing what he can for his friends, his family, for his country. And that's one of the things that I think the movie really works on, is an emotional level. The movie really deals with human nature and wanting to be a good person. And at the end of the day, whether you're doing it for yourself or for your country or for whatever reason, he's really trying to be a better person. And there is a background story with him, maybe being not be the best person in the past, but you get a character arc, you get a redemption story. And overall, I just think it's really hard-hitting and really well performed. Rachel Brosnahan, who you might know from The Marvelous Miss Maisel, is really good in this as well as a supporting character. She doesn't have a ton of screen time, but she really fits the role, and I think she does add a nice supporting character to this. Jessie Buckley, who's one of my favorite actresses working today, I think did a really solid job. She doesn't have a ton of screen time, but she does make the most use of it when she is on screen. She also goes through a huge emotional toll because of these events. So overall, I think this movie really does capture what it sets out to do. Director Dominic Cooke, who seems like he's mostly known for doing plays in England, does a really solid job. The only movie that I've seen from him, and I think it might be one of the only other movies he's ever done, which is On Chesil Beach, I think is a solid film as well. I saw that a couple years ago, but this is definitely ratcheting up to another level. I love historical dramas. I'm a sucker for a really good historical drama, and I think this one in particular is a good one. If you enjoyed The Imitation Game, I think you'll enjoy this one. If you enjoy just Cold War history and the espionage and all the behind-the-scenes things that happen, and maybe parts of history that you didn't know about, maybe gaps in the historical timeline that you didn't even think about. As someone who's an American, I forget about other countries involved, whether it be Britain or anything else in dealing with the Cold War. I thought it was really interesting. I think I learned a lot, whether it all is historically accurate, but it makes me want to dive more into the story and dive more into the background and learn about these unsung heroes, the people both on the Russian side, the British side, and the American side that put their lives in risk to, in a way, save the world, like I said. So if I were to rate this movie, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Really good. Did not expect much from it because I hadn't seen anything about it. I know it premiered, I think, at Sundance earlier this year, and it was under a different name, I think Ironbark, which was kind of the code name for his character during these missions. So let me know if you check it out, what you think about it. Leave those comments down below. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.